Okay, a very special Anfield Wrap interview. Very pleased to say we are joined by Virgil van Dijk, a man who needs no introduction. Virgil, thanks very much for taking the time to do this.
Pleasure.
Glad to see that you're better and training this morning as well. Just wanted to kick off. I mean, everyone who's out here in Doha, if you're going to be doing other media and things like that, is going to ask you about the Club World Cup or how you're feeling. We like to do things a little bit different at the Anfield Wrap, try and get some different stuff. We're obviously coming from like a fan perspective. So I want to ask you a few questions, winding back first of all to when you first signed for Liverpool.
Yeah.
Obviously it was quite a protracted affair. It didn't go quite how you or the club wanted it initially. There was a bit of a wait. But when you finally did sign, I just wondered, what was it that made you choose Liverpool? Because it was no secret that other clubs were chasing you, other clubs that maybe at the time you could say were a better guarantee of silverware or success. So what was it about Liverpool that made you think that's the club for me?
Well, I think first of all the decisions that I've made so far in my career has been based on the way I feel, the way the people around me feel. My wife, most of the times as well. We all do it together, but it's the feeling you have to get to through. Different factors, the club, the way we play, the city, the fans, the manager, and obviously your contract needs to be on the right level as well of what the club wants for you. And obviously there was interest from other teams, but Liverpool was the one that ticked all the boxes, and so far so good.
And you mentioned the manager there. I mean, we all absolutely love the manager. We're delighted that he's signed a new contract, and the fact it came straight after the election was a big boost for a lot of us as well, because that didn't go the way plenty of us wanted it to. But how important has the manager been to that decision and to you enjoying Liverpool? I mean, basically, I'm asking you how great is Jurgen Klopp?
Yeah, well, everyone has only good words for him anyway. He's been a fantastic manager for the club. I think he should definitely be considered as one of the best managers Liverpool have had in the history of the club. Obviously, we all want to win more trophies. Last year, obviously, was something that we definitely enjoyed, but we want to do it again and do it more than we did so far. But yeah, it's all about the results for the managers, and he's been doing it on a good level, and hopefully we can keep that going as well.
And it's been 2 years now thereabouts that you've been at the club. When you were signing for Liverpool, when you were thinking about coming to Liverpool, when you were meeting Jurgen Klopp and the rest of it, how you pictured it going, where we are now, is it better? Is it worse? Has there been anything that surprised you about Liverpool, the city, the club?
Well, I was surprised how in my first 6 months we went in the Champions League final. It was a major boost, of course, because it's a dream to be playing in a final. A Champions League final, is the one. It's one of the biggest stages you can play as a player. And but after that, I think everything has been going, as planned. As you wished. The progress we made as a team with the players, the progress I made as a player myself, and obviously last season, how it all ended with all the praise I got, being second in the Ballon d'Or. Obviously, that's something you dream of. You don't plan those things, but it's definitely has been going the right direction, and I'm very positive.
Just going back to the manager a second, then just going off not just what's on the pitch, but the videos behind the scenes and the relationship everyone seems to have. How much does the manager delegate responsibility both on and off the pitch to like the senior members of the squad like yourself and Jordan? Because outside looking in, it seems like there's a lot of experience on the pitch who aren't shy of taking that responsibility.
Yeah, well, in the end of the day, if we play at a 60,000 stadium, the manager can shout what he wants on the side, but sometimes we don't hear it. And as players, you have to do it with each other. You have to shout at each other, to your mate next to you, in front of you, and behind you, and everyone wants to take responsibility, and that's the most important thing. We all have players that are not shy to say what they think is good for the team, I think that's a good thing to have, and also the most important thing is that we accept everything from each other. So you might get a proper shove from one of the players next to you, but he does it for a reason. He does it just to make sure that we hopefully going to win the game in the end.
So just on that, and just to follow on a little bit, there seems to be a massive amount of trust on the pitch. I think you just referenced it then, between yourself and Ali in goal, and then you got Milner and you got Henderson there, and you all seem to have each other's backs, which hasn't always been the case. I think it's fair to say, over the last couple of years, there seems to be a massive unity within the squad to dig each other out in when times are tough, which has been referenced by the times we've been a goal down this season, or scoring last-minute winners.
Yeah.
I mean, how is that common in football, and what's your experience of that, and how do you kind of engender that?
I think obviously the manager has been playing a big part in that. I think. But also the feeling I got right now is that everything is one at the moment. Obviously, I think also our defense have been, towards the situation, for example, where we're in right now. Being 10 points or something ahead. We're not getting carried away. Obviously we learned. The club have learned from the situation that there has been in before. The players have learned from. Obviously, I've learned from last year that anything can happen. It doesn't matter if you're so many points ahead. So, and in games we know that whenever there's a setback, we don't need to panic. We always will have our options and the possibilities if we do what we came to do in the first place and play our game. And I think that's a good thing to have, good feeling to have. But obviously, setbacks can still happen, but it's the way we deal with it. And so far, we have been dealing with that pretty well.
You mentioned the fans there and sort of them, where they are on all this as well. Last year, or earlier this year actually, we played Leicester. We draw 1-1 with them. Not the result any of us wanted at the time, including yourselves, obviously. And you did some media afterwards where you said, you could sense a tension in the stadium, and that maybe that wasn't quite right for yourselves, that didn't help yourselves. I thought, as a fan, that was quite brave, because players tend not to criticise supporters for obvious reasons, because supporters can maybe turn. But also I thought, did you think about that? Did you think maybe they'll turn, or did you just think, I felt it, I'm going to say it?
Yeah.
And also, since then, do you think it's changed? Are you feeling that tension now, or do you think everyone's calmer and more relaxed this time in the ground?
Well, I tend to just say what I'm thinking, of course, and I think everyone felt it that night. It wasn't our best game. I can remember, obviously, it was a tense title race anyway, and obviously everyone wants to win games, and everyone wants to play the best football we can. But obviously, it doesn't happen every week, and I was just a little bit disappointed at the time, like more players maybe, and I think what I said before. I think the fans have learned what I've experienced right now, learned so far from the situation that we have been in the way. Fans have been reacting. I think even this season, if you look at many games that we came 1-0 down, that the fans are not booing, they stay behind us, and obviously that's a good thing for us, good for us to know. And obviously at times we have been, keeping it until pretty late, but the extra push that the fans have been giving us, helps a lot, and I think that should be forever, because it's very important for us.
Yeah, that trust is there now. I think from our side, we're trusting what we're watching in front of us. We know how good you all are, and that you're trying to win the game. And again, Andy referenced before, things haven't always been that way in the past. There's been teams we've watched under the Liverpool name where we're not quite sure about these. I think we're all very sure about this team we're watching now. I mean, the other thing is that you did an interview a while back where you talked about the passion of the fans when you were up at Celtic. I wonder what you've made. You've been here, as I say, for 2 years now. What have you made of the passion of the fans in Liverpool? How have you found that?
Yeah, fantastic. For me, it was a big thing for me as well that, I like to play for clubs that, have fans that really care, really live and do everything for the club. And at Celtic, I had that. At Groningen in Holland, it was a very family club-wise, and it's something that I really enjoy. And obviously the fans have been amazing for me, and it's all about what you show on the pitch. First of all, you need to earn a lot of respect and quality on the pitch. But yeah, I think so far, I've been enjoying every bit of it.
And, we can all see how hard you're all working, how much you want this, the stuff that comes out in interviews, the way you're all playing, the fact that there's so many late goals as well shows us that how committed you are to trying to win this thing for us, that we all want to win that league title. But I think as well, and Andy, you'll back me up on this, that, you were touching on it before, the culture around the club now seems probably better than it's ever been. You all look like you're enjoying yourselves. You were doing interviews a while back with Joe Gomez, and you obviously get on with Joe, and that came across in the interviews. Yeah. How important is it to you to, yes, be a professional, be committed, play, win, lift trophies, but also have a laugh? Be in a group of teammates who are on your level, you can have a laugh, because that's what it looks like from the outside. It looks like you all have a laugh and you all get on with it.
Yeah, it is. And obviously you don't see that too much, but funny enough and luckily enough, in this team has been, pretty good. Obviously we see each other almost every day.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, always, straight away be like everyone is good friends with each other. But it's a special team. Everyone wants to do the extra yard on the pitch, but outside of the pitch we can all get along with each other. We all wanna be there for each other, no matter personal, on the personal level or on the pitch, of course. But everyone is ready for each other to be there.
Just referencing Garrett's previous question, talking about the crowd and having trust in the late goals and one thing and the other, and it happens so many times now, we just can't be lucky every week. Everyone says lucky Liverpool last-minute goals. But one of the first ones I've got to go back to was the Merseyside derby last year. What was your immediate thought when you took the air shot?
Yeah, well, I walked back, I think. So I thought, what am I doing here anyway? And I think the boss thought the same. But yeah, I knew that either it would go maybe over the cup or it would go top bins, but yeah, it went a bit in the middle, and luckily Divock was there to make.
Was your back 10 when it went in?
Yeah, you can see it, I think, in the replay as well, and then I couldn't believe it, but yeah, it was a good one.
I mean, if we're going to talk about Everton, then we've got to talk about your debut. Mm-hmm. I mean, we literally said on podcasts, so we finally got him, he's our player. Imagine he plays against Everton and last minute he goes up and goes boom and puts one in the... And we talked about it, didn't we, on podcast, saying that would be amazing. And then it happened.
Yeah.
And I mean, that must have been fantastic for you. But did you realise how fantastic it was for us and how much we want to be Everton?
Afterwards, I really, really, got that feeling. And before that, of course, like, you make your debut, so you're just happy to make your debut. Yeah. But you're not gonna think about, what if I score a goal? I just want to win the game and try and keep a clean sheet and just get through to the next round. And yeah, obviously, in the beginning, I wasn't supposed to start, of course. But then on the like we always do on the match day, if we play in the evening, we train in the morning. And then the manager came to me and said, like, "Oh, you might start now because some of the boys, a bit stiff. We don't want to risk him." So he said, like, "Are you ready?" I said, "Oh, yeah, looking forward to it. I wasn't nervous or anything. I just wanted to go out there." And yeah, so it was a intense game. Normally I never get cramp, but that game I had a little bit of cramp in the end. And that's why I couldn't play against City when we came back from the trip in Dubai, because I had cramp and my hamstring was a bit tight, so we didn't want to risk me then. And I played after that, everything. But yeah, to score the winner, score my debut is a childhood dream.
And how have you found Evertonians? Have you had any of Evertonians speaking to you while you've been in the city or around the city?
Not really, though. No? But yeah, I think they have been respectful to me, and I think that's the most important thing. You can be you having a rivalry, but it's all about still being respectful to each other. And I think I've never so far have been experienced any bad things.
You touched on something there. You said something there that I wanted to ask you about anyway, which was, you said you're making your debut for Liverpool, you're playing against Everton, it's on the telly, it's a big game, under the lights, all those things, and you said there, I'm not nervous. You did an interview a while ago where you said you can sort of put yourself in a place now where you're not nervous. But how have you reached that? Because I'm intrigued by sports, men and women in general, to how they can consistently reach a level. How are these 7, 8, 9 out of 10 every time they go on a pitch? So what have you done as a professional yourself to reach a stage now where you go out in huge games with what looks like to me huge pressure on you, and you're saying, I've got no nerves?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's obviously it's something that I've learned over the years. Becoming a father has definitely, put me in the right direction on that case. And there's just a lot more, not a lot more, but there are things more important than being out there on the pitch and obviously do what you love. But in the end of the day, it's all about in my case, my wife, my 2 kids, and being healthy, and that's the most important things. And if those things are all right, then the rest shouldn't be pressure or something, if you know what I mean. Obviously, I know that there's still pressure. A lot of people are expecting us to perform, me to perform. Doesn't matter if I'm, for example, I was not feeling well, but if people don't see me training but see me on the match day, they just judge me based on the performance, but don't know what was happening 4 days before, for example. And that's something you have to deal with, but that's fine for me. I can put that to the side. I just want to perform for the team, for myself, for my family, for the fans, and hopefully do the best that we can.
You talk about training there. We spoke to James Milner last month, and obviously he's just signed a new contract at the club. You're 28, and James is 33. Yeah. So I kind of wanted to ask, well, first off, what's it like training with a machine?
Yeah.
The lactate tests and all that. And one thing he did say, which made me laugh, he said how he tests himself is when they've done a particularly hard session, he asked the younger lads whether they felt it, and as long as they felt it, he feels fine. Yeah. So, I suppose we're asking, what's it like with Millie, and also, where do you see yourself like at 33 signing a new contract at Liverpool? Is that the kind of career you want late into your 30s?
I've no idea where I see myself at 33. I'm not a guy who's looking too far ahead. In football, you can't do that. You can't make promises. You can't do these kind of things. But if I'm as fit as Millie when I'm 33, I'm gonna be very happy. So he's a great example for younger guys. For even for myself at times. He's always on my back anyway. Because if he can do it, I can do it, for example. So, yeah, I try to be as fit as possible and do it in my way, and he tried to do it in his way, and so far has been working pretty well for him and for me as well, to be fair.
We sing literally to you, every time we go to the match about you being calm. You're calm, you're cool, you're coming across as that right now, and it's like, are you able to put that across to your teammates as well? Because you've got 20, 30 and the youngsters as well at the club who aren't going to be as experienced as you, maybe as calm as you. Are you able to, and do you spot maybe teammates who are a little bit nervous and try and calm them down? Is there a Virgil effect on the teammates? Because that's what we talk about, isn't it? We talk about, it seems to us that anyone who plays next to you, centre half, they get better playing with you. That's how it seems to us.
Yeah, well, I think it's a good thing when you feel like you give confidence to the others, and I think I don't think the boys that are playing there, I don't see any signs of nerves when they play, but yeah, I think for them, and it's for me the other way around as well. To get confidence from your players next to you, in front of you, behind you, like when Alisson's behind me, I know that we have a world-class goalie that even if we get a player past us, then we still have a big task to fulfill, and I think it's a very good sign to give that confidence to your teammates, and I think that's definitely something I've put in. Yeah.
Nick, when you were Celtic Neil Lennon, there's a great quote that Neil Lennon come out with. He said, after your first training session, I don't know how true it is, but it's a great quote. He said that he'd said to you, you won't be here long, enjoy yourself while you're here. Have you always had that faith you would reach the level where you're at now? Or, I mean, the journey you've had, I mean, I think it's common knowledge now, it's been a tough journey, and you kind of made the breakthrough quite late.
Yeah.
Have you always had that faith that you'd make it to where you are now, or has there ever been moments where you've doubted yourself a little bit?
Yeah, of course. I think, there's always moments in your career when you doubted yourself. And for me personally, I think that was when before I went to FC Groningen. So, I didn't get a contract at my parenthood club, Willem II, and that was a time when I really thought that, will it be really that, I won't get a contract. But what I said before already, I won't look too far ahead. I won't look too, it's obviously, when I went to Celtic, it was definitely a dream to play in the Premier League, but I wasn't looking like, let's play for one of the top 3-4 big clubs in the Premier League. So I just want to see how far I can go, and at Celtic I enjoyed my time. It was a perfect step for me, getting used to the British way of playing European football, where I've learned so much, playing against amazing strikers at the time, and Europa League as well. And after that was the right time to play in the Premier League with Southampton, and I've enjoyed every bit there as well. With Koeman, we had a record-breaker season. The first year, I think we even came above Liverpool, if I can remember. But it has been an incredible journey, and I think the perfect journey for how it has shaped me so far.
We're here for the Club World Cup. We're here in Doha right now talking to you. It's been headlines, it's been a shock to everyone that you didn't play in the semi-final, and the reason for that is because aside from League Cup games, you've played every single game this season, and that's been pretty much the case since you've been at Liverpool. No one ever wants Virgil van Dijk to miss games, and I just wondered, what I mean, it's a bit of a cliched question, I guess, but what's the secret to it? Because how come you are so resilient? Other players, it seems, need a rest, need rotation. You're playing week in, week out, and you're seemingly indestructible. What?
Yeah, that's how it looks. But yeah, I think all of our players, they have to look after themselves so much. Especially the first part of the season, there goes so much into looking after your body, eat well, sleep, rest. You need to leave a lot of things. Your family has to sacrifice a lot. Your wife, your kids. So it's what we all do as a collective. But yeah, personally, I just try to look after myself, manage games. In games, I'm one of the least runners, if you know what I mean, kilometers wise.
Yeah.
But I try to manage games. I try to be there at the right time, be at the right place at the right time. And yeah, you need to speed up games when necessary, and relax it, ease it down when needed either. So yeah, it's just manage of the whole process, outside of pitch, inside the pitch, and be professional, because that's the most important thing.
Is that something Liverpool are doing generally now as well? Because I mean, Jurgen Klopp arrives. He looks great, he talks great. Straight away, we're all like, we've got an amazing manager here. And he's talking about sort of heavy metal football and all those cliches. And it seemed at first, he made everyone run faster, harder, get stuck in. And some of the games were crazy. They were 4-3s, 5-3s, whatever. It seems this season that there's more of a, what you just talked about, maybe a bit more game management going on. Maybe just sort of, let's just win. And then when we've got the win, we don't need to be going mad. Just control the game, see it out, get the points. Is that a conscious thing for Liverpool, or is that just the way it's panned out?
I think it's professional, you know what I mean? If you, I don't know. In games, we have experienced players enough that we can manage, we can see what we have to do in games. And when you play in 2 games after, you're not gonna, unnecessary full sprints I think at times. That's how I think. And obviously we all want to score 3, 4, 5 goals, and we all want to play our best games. But as long as we're winning, that's the most important thing. And that mentality obviously has been so far so good, and we have to keep that going.
Just, I know we're going to wrap up in a minute. Just, it wasn't actually on the list of questions, but just we're going through. I couldn't help thinking back to the Bayern Munich game last year, away, where there's a brilliant shot of your pass to Sadio Mane, and also you score in that game as well. I mean, everyone talks about the Barcelona game because of what happened, but how did that feel being on the Bayern Munich pitch? Because it seemed like something off the pitch with the fans clicked after the Bayern Munich game, because they got the draw at Anfield. Everyone's going, they're a massive team.
Yeah.
And Liverpool have spoke, and correct me if I'm wrong, where we've kind of felt we're not at the top table anymore. And we kind of felt like we were there after Kiev, but the Bayern Munich game was such a statement. Suddenly all the chests come out and it was like, no, actually, we've got a really good chance of winning the European Cup this year. I mean, how was that reflected on the pitch? Because it seemed like something changed that night.
Yeah, I think even the draw at Anfield, when I think they took it more as a win than obviously we were a bit disappointed. And yeah, we knew how tough it's going to be over there. You know, they're a fantastic side, very experienced. But we came there and you know, played very well. You know, we were very mature as well and managed the game very good as well. And obviously scored the right times. You know, fantastic goal from Sadio. I was lucky to be very important with the set piece and obviously the fantastic header from, was it Mo or Sadio?
Sadio.
Yeah, it was Mo's ball with the left outside of the foot. Yeah. And yeah, it was an outstanding performance, and what you said, I think after that, you know, we definitely had more belief that we could definitely make it happen, and obviously, you know, a couple games after was pretty excited still, but yeah, it was a good night.
The big question for last of all, Virgil, it is nearly Christmas. There may be still people running around trying to get last-minute presents. One of the quotes we all loved as fans was Troy Deeney saying that not only are you a tough opponent, but you smell good. So how can we make our dads smell like Virgil van Dijk? What's the secret? What are you using?
You need to, first of all, wash yourself. You know, a little body wash. But no, just look after yourself. You know, get a nice little perfume. You know, put it on your Santa's Christmas list, and look after yourself, and it will be all good.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot, Virgil, for taking the time.
Man. Thank you,
Thanks
guys.
a lot, mate.
Cheers.
Cheers.